Very good evening, dear friends. It's a great pleasure to be with you again after a long time. And I request all of you to mute your, mics. Otherwise, it will create disturbance. So, dear friends, as I told you yesterday, I had given you a brief introduction. You have to understand that prima facie, a corporate entity is a creation of law, a juristic person, and it runs with the dictums given under the Articles and Memorandum of Association, along with the application of provisions of the Companies Act. And a corporate entity can be brought to an end only by due process of law and a declaration of dissolution by the courts. Today, the scenario has been changed and the declarations have been shifted from the High Court to the National Company Law Tribunal, in short called NCLT. Every state today is having a NCLT, and then the closure could be either by the creditors, the closure could be either voluntarily done, the closure could be under various circumstances where the government of India can initiate proceedings if the corporate entity is found to be acting detrimental to the interest of India. These are all the significant features which have been evolved in 2013 Companies Act. Some of you earlier did LLM or familiar with the provisions of 1956 Companies Act. Today it is not the scenario. Today it is a different scenario, that it is the 2013 Companies Act which is now prevalent, and then different, provisions have been made out thereon. And in this connection, for winding up of companies, for not being in position to pay the debts, now a new code has come, that is the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016. This Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016 has got provisions against corporates, provisions against partnership firms, provisions against individuals for insolvency. As I told you earlier, the insolvency of individuals or partnership firms, in fact, it was dealt with under two legislations. One is the Presidency Towns Insolvency Act for Bombay, Madras, Calcutta, and Delhi, and the Provincial Insolvency Act for non-presidency towns. For partnerships as well as individuals, this particular enactment has covered all the necessary ingredients. Those enactments have been today repealed, and they are all embedded in only one legislation called the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016. And then earlier, corporates were concerned. It was under the Companies Act 1956, followed by Companies Act 2013. The provisions have been made out, and the official liquidator used to enter into the scene. Today, it is not the case. Each company would be having a resolution professional who is a qualified person who passed the examination conducted by the IBBI, that is Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India, and that is the centralized regulator. Yesterday, I told you about regulators and the resolution, in fact, dispute resolution fora. You can never forget that, because that is very important source. Once again, for recap, I tell you, regulator for company law matters happen to be the MCA, Ministry of Corporate Affairs. The dispute resolution forum has happened to be the NCLT, followed by NCLAT, followed by the Supreme Court. If it is securities, then the regulator is SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India. Dispute resolution SAT, Securities Appellate Tribunal, then the Supreme Court. If it is a matter pertaining to banks, it is Reserve Bank of India and then it is a high court, which is dispute resolution court. Whereas if it is the FEMA, Foreign Exchange Management Act, then the regulator happens to be Reserve Bank of India. Dispute resolution is concerned, it is done by the tribunals constituted for this particular disputes under FEMA Act. Now we are coming to the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, where we take up the insolvency of individuals, insolvency of the partnership firms, insolvency of companies. For all this, the regulator happens to be IBBI. Never forget the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. Tomorrow, you want to become the resolution professional, make it as a practice for you. You are a lawyer, even then, you are a chartered accountant, you are a company secretary, you are a cost accountant. They don't care. You have to necessarily, even I myself, I happen to be the judge of National Comptroller Tribunal, but still, if I had to be resolution professional, then I had to pass that examination again and register with IBBI. And once IBBI declares I passed, then I would be enrolled in the tribunal. Then I would be allotted the particular matters for being acting as resolution professional. So this is the most important thing. So here regulator happens to be IBBI for our purpose, for our CIRP purpose now, and for dispute resolution again National Company Law Tribunal. So we had to deal with two aspects here. We had to deal with Companies Act at times where the regulator happens to be NCA. We had to deal with insolvency and bankruptcy wherein we had to deal with IBBI as regulator. But commonly, the dispute resolution body happens to be NCLT, the National Company Law Tribunal. I hope now you are very clear on the subject matter. You have to be extremely clear over these things. In that event, you must also understand the IBBI concept and then study the
Sir,
IBBI. And then, if anybody wants to put a question, come on the screen, raise your
sir,
hand. After I
sir,
finish up my lecture, I will give you time. Don't interrupt my lecture in between. It will damage the flow because it is being recorded for
sorry,
your
sir.
purpose. Now, friends, the CIRP is our subject matter for which you have to write your examination first semester and second semester, wherein you had to study necessarily various provisions of this IBC, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016. Companies Act here will not come into picture. But Companies Act you have to know because of NCLT. For all resolution of disputes, it is NCLT which is empowered. For that purpose, again, you have got to know about NCLT. Otherwise, you don't understand the concept properly. So far, my paper is concerned, I had to concentrate on the definitions and various aspects. So I will give you the scheme of IBC first, what it is. Then I will tell you what is CIRP process. And then I will start taking you through various technical terms, that is definitions. So now I will start with the scheme of IBC. Now I have given you enough explanation and the regulators also. Now what is this particular scheme where a company is not in a position to pay its debts? If a person, which includes a company, is having liabilities more than debts, it is not insolvent. It is not insolvent because every person, including President of India, may have liabilities. President of India also may take loan and then construct a palace. What is important here is that person is not in a position to discharge his commitments. His liabilities are more than assets, it is not pertinent. If his liabilities are such that he is not in a position to pay off his debts, he is unable to pay his debts, then the problem comes. Then he may be declared as insolvent if he is an individual. Bankrupt, it is a partnership firm. Then, if it is the case of a corporate entity, it could be put under CIRP, Corporate Insolvency Resolution Process for Revival. And if that revival is not possible, then it would be taken up for winding up, which is called technically liquidation process. So we are now corporate students. We are studying corporate insolvency. So we will talk of reviving a sick company which is unable to pay its debts, failing which we had to study about liquidation process. This is menu for our subject matter. This is the menu for our discussion. So today I will give you in nutshell the scheme of the insolvency and bankruptcy code first, and I will tell you what are all the segments thereon which we are supposed to study thereon. So prima facie, this code 2016 was brought into force in the year 2016. And then friends, one second, kindly bear with me, somebody is waiting in the uh, lobby. I had to get them in. So
Sir, 3 students are waiting, sir.
will you please guide me how to bring them in? Will you please guide me how to bring them in?
Sir,
Sir,
yesterday you
just
approved like that. Please approve today also. Yesterday
approve
approve
their request.
Srinivas sir.
Uh, approve means I just forgot. Kindly tell me again.
Their request is appearing on your screen, sir. Just
So,
please approve.
sorry,
Their
just one second.
request is populated on your screen.
Uh, just one second.
Like WhatsApp message only, sir. Just click on that one.
There is no message except one second. Because see, one second. Should I say invite and remind?
Admit, sir. Admit.
For admit, which option I had to click? That's what I'm asking you. Just one second. Which option I had to click? I'm asking.
Yes, sir. Yesterday you click on admit button. Maybe same, sir.
No, no. Yesterday I did it from my Android. Right now I am on my laptop. Right now I am on my laptop, my dear.
Okay. What are the options showing, sir?
One second. You are using computer, switch audio, video, meeting options, lock meeting, invite and remind, copy meeting link, enable breakout sessions. Invite and remind.
Yes, sir. Maybe.
Anybody knows laptop operation?
Please click invite, sir. We'll see.
Which one?
Invite and remind me.
Wait. Two participants are waiting. Has come. Waiting to join. Okay. Admit.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
Yes. Waiting to join. One second. Yes. Now I got it. Admitted. Okay. Now,
Yeah, sir. They
friends.
joined.
Yeah, they have been admitted. No issue. They are now on the record. They are coming here on the record. I am seeing them. So, friends, the insolvency and bankruptcy code has been divided into several chapters. For convenience sake, I will tell you because it is running into several sections. So, what I suggest to enable you to understand it better and for our purpose, we had to take first part is concerned basically the sections 1 to 32. Sections 1 to 32 deal with our CIRP process, the corporate insolvency process. Sections 1 to 32. Basically, you have to read this with the updated amendments made from time to time, including 2021, where this particular, because of pandemic, the moratorium has over 1 crore rupees has been extended. Now, friends, Part 1 deals with preliminaries like application and definition, which I will deal with slowly, and then I will take you with lot of application. It's a very interesting code. In fact, at every stage, you will feel like learning more and more. Part 2 is concerned CIRP process. That is the paper nomenclated for our study in my case. And that paper consists of sections naturally 1 to 32. Chapter 2 is exclusively on CIRP, where it starts from section 6 to section 32. In this process, it tells you as to what is corporate insolvency process, who will do that, who will initiate, and then what are the ingredients and what is the procedure and how to go about, and then how this particular process has to be made out, and then a sick industry has to be revived back, and failing which then next chapter 3 will tell you how to liquidate. This is the most important thing. So the entire corporate insolvency process and liquidation of companies dealt with under sections 1 to 77. Remember, we are concerned under IBC, so far this semester is concerned, from sections 1 to 77. Like chapter 2, I told you, 6 to 32, our CIRP. Liquidation process from 33 to 54. 33 to 54. Liquidation. It is not there in the syllabus for you. So far, my paper is concerned. It is elsewhere. And now, chapter 4 is on fast track corporate insolvency. Then, voluntary liquidation 59. Then, adjudicating authority is our NCLT, the powers under 60 to 67. That's why I told you have to read Companies Act also simultaneously, and here the powers are to be read with the NCLT rules also. Then lastly, offences and penalties under section 68 to 77. With this, the concentration on companies for insolvency and bankruptcy will come to a close. I hope you understand. That means under IBC, if you want to know about corporate insolvency and liquidation, section 1 to 77 only you have to study. There are no other provisions. Only from 1 to 77. There are no other provisions. Now, friends, under part 3, section 78 to section 78 to 120 deal with the insolvency of partnership firms and individuals. Partnership firms and individuals. Then further, the provisions are extended from 121 to 148 also under chapter 4. So you have to study the insolvency of individuals and partnership firms under 78 to 178 in a different paper, not my paper. That you have to study the whole IBC. But for companies exclusively 1 to 50, in fact 77, you have to study under my paper and another split paper. Liquidation is also there in first semester. But for individuals and partnership firms, a separate provisions are there and separate papers are there, but not in our paper. But you have to study that also. Because tomorrow, if an individual approaches you and he says, I have made out 100 crores liabilities, please help me. Yes, why 100 crores? There will be people in India for 300 crores also. It is no exception. In that event, how you are going to handle it? You have to handle from section 78 to 178. Then what is the adjudicating authority? Remember, regulator is IBBI only, even for individuals, even for partnership firms, even for companies. Regulator is IBBI, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India, like SEBI. But for companies, adjudicating body is NCLT. For individuals and partnership firms, it is DRT. It is DRT under the Banking Act. So the adjudicating authority is not civil courts, it is DRT, Debt Relief Tribunal. Then there are provisions starting from 179 to 183 for regulation for this particular adjudication, then the appeals, then the offences, penalties, all these things are stated under sections 179 to 187. So for companies 1 to 77 only, I repeat, for individuals and partnership firms, you study from 78 to 187. Please note down. Then there are certain miscellaneous provisions which are common for companies, individuals, and partnership firms. All the three. Those three are concerned, starts like common called information utilities, insolvency professionals, agencies. I told you, insolvency agencies are necessary, like this particular insolvency professionals necessary to pass the board examination. So they are all stated under sections 188 to 195. 188 to 195 are common provisions for all the companies, individuals, and partnership firms. Common provisions. Then again, common provisions under section 196 to 198, where the powers and functions of the IBBI are narrated. Powers and functions of IBBI are narrated. Then, friends, section 199 to 205 deals with the IP, insolvency professional agencies. Then the insolvency professionals per se are stated under 206 to 208. They are all common provisions only. Then information utilities 209 to 216, and all inspection and investigation 217 to 220. So 188 to 188 to, in fact, the 255, they are all common provisions for various purposes for individuals, companies, and then partnership firms. But in our examination, my paper, you are not studying. We are studying only from section 1 to section 32 and few sections under liquidation, but not all. So exclusively we will concentrate on only CIRP. But in general, you have to study all the common provisions and special provisions. I repeat, special provisions for individuals and partnership firms, companies 1 to 77, individuals, partnership firms 78 to 183. Adjudicating authority for companies 1 to 77 NCLT, and for individuals and partnership firms DRT. Then the offences and penalties are concerned 184 1 to 187. In fact, they are for common. Then again 184 2. In fact, 255 are common provisions for individuals, companies, and then partnership firms. But the miscellaneous provisions and other provisions will be dealt with by NCLT in its own way, DRT in its own way. So now I hope now you have understood. It has got a threefold structure: companies, individuals, partnership firms. Individuals, partnership firms common, companies separate. 1 to 77. Then common provisions, once again I tell you repeatedly to make you understand the board powers and such things, 184 to 255. Rest of the things are separated. So in your examination purpose, companies, their CIRP is different, which I am going to say. Mogali, Dr. Mogali, your professor, will deal with other subjects. Liquidation, another gentleman will teach. So they're all exclusively on corporates only. In the other way, as per your syllabus, the individuals and the partnership firms are concerned, separately that will be dealt with to you. That is under DRT. Here, corporates are concerned, we are studying under NCLT, where NCLT provisions also must be taken into account, and specifically they are under the Companies Act, rules, NCLT rules, regulations, read with sections 60 to 67, chapter 6, where corporate insolvency is adjudicated by the adjudicating authority, and the provisions have been further given under 60 to 67, read with Companies Act provisions of NCLT, read with regulations of NCLT. I hope now you understood clearly that what you are supposed to do in this particular fashion. Then, friends, coming to other aspects, you must also study examination purpose. It is different. Knowledge purpose. It is different. Here we are not at the examination run. We are still at knowledge seeking. So you must also familiarize yourself with the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India regulations. Then there are different regulations for IPs, and then insolvency professional agencies, and then model laws, governing bodies. So the insolvency code you purchase, it comprehensively gives all the regulation. Examination point of view, they may not be necessary. Knowledge point of view, they are necessary. As your teacher, I give first voting for only knowledge. Examination is secondary. Only in the examination point of view, before the examination, you can concentrate. Obviously, sections 1 to 77. Nothing more than that. 77 also not required. So far our examination is concerned, my paper is concerned, section 1 to 32, and just 3-4 provisions under liquidation. That's all. There ends the matter. So friends, this is the scheme of this particular IBC. I hope now you understood. And what we are going to study now. Under this particular scheme, we will have to start studying from the definitions given under preliminary part 1. Our study is under part 1, only one chapter, that is definitions. Part 2, chapter 1 again preliminary. So there the definitions are given under two parts. Part 1 may definitions high, part 2 may be definitions high. So you have to study definitions under both. I'll start with these particular definitions under part 1. Then part 2 may, how many chapters are there? Part 2 may, there are 7 chapters in which we are concerned with chapter 1 and chapter 2. Chapter 1 deals with definitions and chapter 2 deals with the CIRP, Corporate Insolvency Resolution Process. That is from section 6 to 32. Chapter 3 is on liquidation. Another paper is there for you. Chapter 4 is fast track CIRP. Chapter 5 is voluntary 59, voluntary liquidation. Then chapter 6, adjudicating authority, 7 offences and penalties. These offences and penalties are different from the offences and penalties given under which provision? Just now I told you, chapter 7 of part 3 for individuals and partnership firms. So at the moment, don't get confused. That is different. Here we are concerned with companies only. For companies only, this particular chapter 2, 1 under part 2, chapter 1, part 1 only we are going to study. In other paper, you will study chapter 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 under part 2. Under different paper. Another professor is there for that. Under that, liquidation process, fast track and voluntary liquidation, adjudicating authority, offences and penalties you are going to study. Clear now, you are up. So we are concerned only CIRP. I repeatedly tell you in order to avoid confusion. Section 6 to 32. So friends, we will be studying from tomorrow the definitions given under part 1 and all the definitions with regard to the preliminaries. Now, application of the law with Jammu and Kashmir has gone. So that question of exemption and all that will not arise. Obviously, it is an obsolete law. Only thing is that we will study with regard to the application in general, definitions in particular. So tomorrow I will deal with this particular part 1. And so far part 1 is concerned, I will try to finish off in a day or two. Then I will take you to the definitions under chapter 1, part 2. Definitions are given under different chapters, 2 different definitions. In this process, the most important terminology happens to be IBBI. What it is? Like SEBI, MCA, it is regulator. In the same way, it also tells you about the operational creditor, who can file winding up proceedings, who can initiate CIRP, only creditors. But creditors have been divided into 2 parts, operational creditors and financial creditors. If you can't understand the distinction between these two, you can't understand IBC. Because the powers are vested more with financial creditors but not with operational creditors. And how to judge a person is an operational creditor or a financial creditor. I approach NCLT, sir, I have supplied goods worth 1 crore. My payment is not received. Then I am giving you an example to study the subject matter further in depth from tomorrow onwards. Then the NCLT says, all right, you have any proof that you supplied goods? Yes, sir, my vouchers signed, delivery made, received. Very good. Did they acknowledge? Yes, sir. When? 2 years back. So you are in limitation. Very good. Then 1 crore rupees my claim. CIRP was initiated by the NCLT. Then what will happen? Resolution professional will come into picture. He will give notification. Then all the banks come up saying his claim is 1 crore, but my claim is 10 crores. Another bank says 20 crores. Another bank says 40 crores. Then he is another great man who is now living in Britain. Now it is 1000 crores. The company's assets are 500 crores only. How are you going to distribute? Now the CIRP process is for revival. Now the distinction comes, understanding the definitions. Now the question is, I have initiated CIRP and brought all the fellows. Now all the fellows, banks are concerned, financial dealings are involved. They are all called financial creditors. And I am a supplier. I don't directly deal with funding of the company. So I am called operational creditor. And I am taken at the bottom of the claim. And all the financial creditors are given right royal seats. This is the mechanism of IBC. Let us not go into the discussion of right or wrong. It is legal or illegal. Supreme Court already upheld the law. So we will not waste our time on that discussion. Let us learn the law as it is. Let us apply it. That's all. That's all. In my initial years of practice, after 3 months of practice, I asked my senior, sir, this is nonsense. What is law in a particular case? My senior told me, Bhaskar, you know law as it is. You apply and try to get relief to the client within your brain. By starting questioning, you will be in wilderness and you will become a bad practitioner. Then I followed his advice. I won the case. I've got relief to my client. Then the same law I used to win several cases and built up a big office. That is the reason why don't go into the questioning. Supreme Court upheld the law because everybody feels that, sir, I have initiated the proceeding and then all the guys came and they are taking away the money and I am now left in luck. Your fate it is. The law of the land is like that. We can't help. And Supreme Court approved it. That's the reason why don't go into the internal issues. This is not a seminar. This is a class. We are learning and applying the law. That's all. I am cautioning this because tomorrow, with regard to financial creditors and CRP process, several issues come in. You have to take law as it is laid, approved by the Supreme Court. That's all. Supreme Court has made out several judgments. There are about 20 judgments out there. Each judgment is a landmark judgment, which we understand, then we will have grip over this particular subject. You want to become a resolution professional tomorrow? You want to become a lawyer tomorrow? Unless you have grip over this law, the nook and corner, 255 sections, restricted to corporate, 1 to 77, and again followed by 188 to 255. You must have thorough grip. Then you can, like a magician, you can in fact mold it, and then you can make out as a lawyer or the resolution professional, and so on and so forth. That is the reason why you had to necessarily take these things into proper stride and then study it with a learning spirit. So, with this background, my dear friends, I tell you, this particular operational creditor, the supplier, will be at the bottom, and the COC, that is the committee of creditors, will be dominated by the financial creditors. So, you have to carefully understand the distinction between these two. So, in the definition portion, I spend more time with you, and then if you can discipline your.
Sir, one doubt, sir.
Yeah.
There are two types of creditors. One is financial creditor, who lend the money to the corporate entity, and operational creditors who have supplied the material to the corporate entity. Only
Yes.
these two, no, sir?
Yes, basically only these two. The court
Yes, sir,
asks
yes,
you
sir.
one question: Who are you? You have to say, I am either an operational creditor or a financial creditor.
Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir.
So that is the reason why from tomorrow onwards, I will have an interactive study, so that as if it is a classroom, even it is online, we will make it as a classroom. But I request you to be totally disciplined. What is the discipline? All of you must mute your mics, and when you want to put in question, in fact, when I put a question, then you can unmute and come back and then answer. But internal talking, like yesterday, there was a lot of disturbance, and such kind of things or external disturbance must be avoided. You must have self discipline. I don't believe in a blind lecture. Mr. Srinivasarao knows me. He was my LLM student earlier. So I accept, in fact, interactive study, and then like classroom. Even online also, I want to make it a classroom. And we have got full 45 minutes we can enjoy. Happily, we can comfortably. I am now before you from Monday to Friday. It is not once in a week. I am taking more sessions now, even though we are expected to take once in a week only. And up to 10th of June, we have got vacation. Because of my sickness, I lost several classes. I thought, let me interact with you and go ahead for 2 to 3 weeks. Because from 15th June, I have got a special session of ICSI in the evenings. It is totally privatized. So, what happens is that I would be busy in the evenings. We may have to change our timings subject to your consent. 6 to 7:30, I will be with them. So I thought until then, let me interact with you on every Monday to Friday. That means 25 days, 20 days. Then we will again plan up. Suppose classes are commenced, then Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, other professors will come. What I do is Monday, Tuesday, Saturday we will meet, and we will complete the portion at the earliest, so that what happens is whatever you lost because of my sickness, you don't feel the difficulty of that. And slowly I will introduce you to all the definitions, and I will take you to all the sessions, and I will make it interactive. And I request you only that your mics should not disturb other students and me. So I request you to mute them. And when I put a question, disciplinedly you answer. When you want to put a question, you raise your hand, come on screen, then I will give you chance after I finish up the lecture. In this disciplined way, there will be a real live classroom session, and we will definitely enjoy each other's company. And I will also learn in the process. You will also learn. We will make our learning a great success. So I will take leave then, my dear friends. Time is up. I am getting caution that the meeting will be over in 3 minutes. So I have got a problem with the particular system. It will not work after 45 minutes. I had to close down the lecture within 40 minutes. If restart, if I want to continue. So I had to then give you an indication. So friends,
Sure, sir. Sure.
yeah. So we will be in touch with you tomorrow again at 6 o'clock. Sharp 6 we started today. And tomorrow also by 6:01 I will start off. And all of you must join together. This kind of discipline we have to maintain. Thank you very much.
Sure, sir.
Wish
Thank
you
you,
all the
sir. Thank
best.
you.
Bye bye. Good day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Good day. Bye bye. Thank you.